And welcome back, tankers. This is Mr. Kasarian, and today we are looking at the Russian T-64 Tier 4 main battle tank. This thing is fully upgraded. I've been playing it a lot, and I really, really like this thing. I actually really like most of the Russian line. It has a good balance of mobility, armor, and firepower, I've found. Not the best armor in the world, but it is certainly survivable. And it certainly packs a wallop. Alright, so let's look at this, shall we? The T-64 was initially developed in the Soviet Union as a main battle tank in the 1960s. The initial design studies actually took place as early as 1951, and the result was known as the Object 430. However, the Object 430 had several drawbacks that caused its designer, a guy named A.A. Morozov, to decide to end studies on the tank. The next design revision, known as the Object 432, included a hydraulic autoloader which allowed them to reduce the crew to three crew, which I'll get more into that in a bit, which also allowed a decrease in the tank's size and therefore allowed them to pack more armor into the weight restrictions. The Object 432 then entered service as the T-64. Now, unlike most Soviet main battle tanks, the T-64 was not heavily exported. This was because the Russians really wanted to keep the secrets of its design well secret. Its advanced design, advanced technology, etc., they didn't want anyone else getting their hold on it, which was really smart because the U.S. actually wound up acquiring some T-72s and pulling them apart during the Cold War. Best not to ask how exactly we went about that one. Currently, the Ukraine, where the main factory was during the Soviet Union, has continued to produce upgrade kits to the T-64 to allow it to keep pace with modern technology. Currently, they offer the T-64 U-DM Bulat upgrade, which brings the T-64 up to standards with some of the same technology that's used in the T-84. It's fitted with the 64 Bulat is equipped with an ERA, anti-tank guided missile, modern sights, fire-controlled night vision, and a 1,000 horsepower engine. Sadly, we do not have the Bulat in the game. I really wish we did. It would be a lot of fun. Okay, so let's get into the details of this thing. Let's take a look at the stats of this T-64. And we're going to compare it to its major challenger at Tier 4, and its historical challenger, well, yeah, we're going to compare it to the Starship. Oh well. Okay, so oddly enough for Russian tanks, the 64 does not actually have the best alpha. The heat shell off of the Starship actually has better damage and pen. Excuse me. Yeah, you can see 560 on the Starship versus 455. That's not... yeah, alright. Pen's better on the Starship as well. Now, the downside of the Starship is the Starship does not have the APFSDS. However, the APFSDS on the Starship actually has better pen than the heat round on the Starship actually has better round than the Sabo on the T-64. Excuse me. Okay. Moving down to our DPM. The T-64, and both of these tanks, by the way, are upgraded as far as they can go with rate of fire, mostly. The T-64 actually wins on DPM. It has a reload time of 8.24 versus the 11.39 on the Starship. So it has a higher DPM at 3,311 versus 2,953. Okay, that doesn't surprise me. Now, one of the things to keep in mind about the T-64 is because you don't have a loader, your rate of fire does not increase as you gain rank, and you can't take any loader skills. This thing has a machine that does the job, all right? However, thing to know, you can benefit from rate of fire from retrofits, okay? Just keep that in mind. Retrofits can increase your rate of fire. Hit points are close to the same. That's like a 13-point difference. Armor. All right. So, this is where things get a little bit weird. The T-64 has a steel fiberglass composite armor, which is actually less effective against armor-piercing Sabo. So, let's see. It has almost twice the armor, the hull armor, that the Starship does. but the T-64's fiberglass and steel has a worse modifier. So if we look at the 205, and with its armor modifier of 0.8, 164, which is still better than what the Starship has in its frontal armor. All right. However, the T-64 gets a great modifier against heat. Its 205 is multiplied by 1.5 against heat shells, which gives you a whopping 307. Now that on its own is not enough to actually defeat the heat round off of the Starship, but let's take a look at the slope. I mean, look at that armor slope on the nose. That's pretty extreme armor sloping right there. You know, that's a pretty nice bit of armor slope. So I'd say head on, this thing can probably stand up to the heat round off the Starship. In terms of turret armor, it actually has more turret armor than the Starship, and it doesn't have the massive number of glaring weak spots that the Starship has in its turret. So, again, you have a slight weakness. This is steel with aluminum, so there's a slight weakness against armor-piercing sabot. So that's going to be 320 times 0.95. So that gives you about 304 on your frontal turret. But remember, your frontal turret's sloped. You know, it's pretty well rounded there. So I'm going to say, yeah, that'll pretty much defeat most sabot shells. Let's take a look at, just for kicks, let's take a look at what Wolfie has. So we're looking at Starship. So that's going to be OF40. What does the sabot round look like on this thing? Yeah, that's going to stand up to that, even without armor slope. Without armor slope, that's still going to... The OF40 sabot is not going to punch through that. And it is definitely not going to punch through the frontal turret armor. Or, for that matter, the side turret armor. Jeez. With a heat round. Not at all. Look at that. That's 260 side turret armor. That's pretty darn heavy. Not much is going to punch through you. So it's pretty well protected. Mobility, you actually are faster to accelerate and higher top speed. Not by a lot, but you still are there. Camouflage. Well then. You have better camouflage rating. That's nice. You actually have a better camouflage rating than the Starship. That's not hard to do. The Starship is huge and tall. Let's give you a quick size comparison here. Let's keep the camera at the same place, and let's show you what the Starship looks like. Yeah. So that's the Starship. Get this out of the way, too. That's the Starship. That's the T-64. Yeah. You're doing a bit better than the... You're a lot smaller. You have less view range, though, than the Starship, so keep that in mind. However, you're still... I think you're still going to outspot him. Let's take a look at that. So it's going to be 415 on his view range against yours. So that's going to mean that he actually only has 89% of his view range when you're holding still. 369. So you're just going to outspot him. Just. All right. Not even really by enough to matter when you're stationary. But he'll outspot you if you're both moving. Targeting. Gun depression? What gun depression? You're in a Russian tank. You don't need gun depression. Seriously. -6 off the front, -5 off the sides. You are not depressing that gun. Don't bother going hull down. You do, or don't try to go hull down. You do have better depression than his rear, which is not hard to do. He's at a -2. You are less accurate than he is, but you aim faster, but your turret traverse is about 7 degrees per second slower than his. So, which would I take? You know, they're both good at their own things. I'll say it that way. I haven't done a review on the Starship, I don't think. But they're both pretty good at their own things. That alpha on the Starship is ridiculous. Okay? It is just some ridiculous alpha on that Starship. The downside is the Starship doesn't have a sabot round, so you can't increase your sabot penetration with an MRS or anything like that. So... I'm actually going to say that I feel like the T-64 is a more balanced tank, which is odd, because usually the American MBTs are the ones that are the balanced tanks for the tier. In terms of weaknesses, there really aren't any glaring weaknesses on this tank. The one issue I want to bring up, however, is this thing. Alright, you don't have a gun mantlet, so if someone can sneak around your gun, that's a weak spot. Other than that, this tanko doesn't have any glaring weak spots. Be careful of that hatch, I guess. This thing is not a weak spot. That's like a infrared lamp, basically, for fighting at night. Yeah, and you can also see this tank's high up off the ground pretty much. So if someone shoots down here, they're just going to go underneath the tank. You have to worry about this. You don't have any side skirt, so that's just your side armor right there. So watch out for that. And yeah, that's basically it. It's a pretty effective beast. Commander, right now I'm going with Freya. Let me take a quick look at this. I'm going with Freya because between anti-material explosives, increases your module damage, take aim, quick, and then you have fire when ready to boost your rate of fire, and deadly explosives, crew damage to enemy vehicle for 60 seconds after destroying an enemy module. Makes her pretty good at MBTs. You can also run... I was running Carlos for a while. For the ammo swap, the aim speed, and you get rate of fire, and increase in module damage. And you also get an increase in off-road environments, which is pretty nice to have. An ammo swap. So it's very similar. He's actually very similar to Freya. He just gets this here, and Freya gets the crew damaging ability. All right. You could also probably run Philip. You could run Philip. And Rashid, yeah, not really. And I wouldn't run Sana. I'd just run Freya. I'd really just run Freya. Freya's my favorite. As for retrofits, let's take a look at this baby. So in terms of what retrofits you get your universal and an armor. All right. And if we take a good look at which ones I have fitted, retrofits. We are running, of course, the hull reinforcement for extra hit points, and then gyro stabilizers for both rate of fire and aim time. So that brings my aim time down and increases my rate of fire, which I thought was a pretty good trade. I wouldn't go for experimental propellant because you don't have super high alpha at tier. The MRS if you're having trouble penning things, but I really usually don't. Or you could just go straight up for the advanced thermal sleeve to boost your rate of fire. If you're really up close and you don't care about your aim time. Consumables, standard consumable pack, mid-tier maintenance, medical, auto-fire, spare parts. The reason I use these, because they give you a passive repair increase speed, so it's, there's a 10% less likely chance of fire, and you're less crew resilience increased. So with running these, you're likely to use fewer of them, and it just keeps you alive longer. I don't use many of them because I'm mostly a PvE player, so it just fits to have the basic stat buffs. Yeah, so that's basically it. Combat style. This thing, it's balanced. I kind of play it doing everything. Let's jump into a replay here. That one's somewhere. There we go. Team carry on Stormy Winter. Ah, yes. I actually have 2 replays I can do for you guys. So we'll do the team carry replay. This is in a T-64. I am the high tier MBT. I have a Swingfire, Sheridan, Leopard 1, and a T-62. So there's 2 other MBTs and an LAV and a light tank. That Swingfire is a Swingfire. He's just a Swingfire. Poor Swingfires. Okay. So as you can see, we're starting out pretty standard in column. We do not have artillery on this map. So that's nice. No artillery. Well, none of our artillery. And this Sheridan and I are going to do a lot of work. We're going to do a lot of work. Now, I keep forgetting to take screenshots of these after I finish them. So you guys will have to bear with me on that. So this isn't a long match. This only lasts for about 8 minutes.
There's no time to lose. The NPAA shot down one of our choppers
I don't know why I'm not
and
moving
they're
yet.
closing in on them. There's critical intel in there that we need.
I think I was
Get
minimized
over there and secure that
or I was
bird.
talking to someone. I don't think I was playing with my friend Jace. He's not in this map, so I don't think I was playing with him. I think I was just on my own. I must have had the screen minimized. I do that sometimes. I'll minimize the game while it loads in. Alright, so I am doing the thing that I do as an MBT. I am cutting the corner, I am going straight in. I don't need a door, I'm a tank. Alright, so at first I'm like, okay, M41, that's not bad. We can take an M41. I have heat loaded. Again, we're in... And I miss him. Or I track him, I think. So now I'm lining back up. He glances that shot. Our Sheridan misses, and I'm just like, yep, you're dead. T-64, you can do that. Another glance. He does 10 points of damage on me. That was a Scorpion. I decide the Scorpion's the bigger threat. And I knock him out. I take fire from somewhere. God knows where I take fire from. Take a little bit of damage there. I back it up. Pull it forward. I'm aiming at that chieftain. And I hit him. 4 damage, too. So now what I'm doing is I'm trying to use this outhouse to minimize likelihood that I get hit from the side. And I'm trying to use terrain, and I'm trying... There we go, T-62. Fire into it point-blank range. I'm trying to use these buildings to keep my frontal armor
Those supply trucks belong to the NPAA.
towards the enemy, sort of in between me.
Destroy their supply
And I'm about to take a side shot, I think,
Not
unless the swing fire takes it for me. I don't even know that T-69 is behind me, actually. Alright, so I destroy that Type 82. Now I'm going to swing around here. I figure out that 69's there. Alright. Everyone's kind of doing peeky-pokey games with him. And I'm like, nope. I'm just going to fire. I'm going to come up here, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to blow him to bits.
Good work. You've gone above and beyond.
I glance, either I glance or I get his, and I'm like, alright, that's it, we're done here. Point blank range, heat shell, he's done. As you can see, I'm glancing most of the shots. I'm actually on most of my health right now. I've only taken a very small amount of damage. I'm on most of my health. I'm very easily engaging and just not caring. M60 glances. I back it up again. He hits a car, I think. And I fire and kill him. You guys kind of seeing why I like this tank? And I kill the Object 155. I come up on, there's a PAC 90. I wait for him to come into my visual. Fire. I don't get the kill, but I take out about 500 of his armor, of his health. I'm coming up. The Sheridan's engaging. I decide the Sheridan isn't what I want to be focused on. There's an M44 back here somewhere. And there's no F40 up here. M41 comes around the corner, and I blow him up. Sorry, Sheridan. Someone's panicking for help. That's the Sheridan. I use the building as cover and the tank carcass to cover my other side. So I'm only exposing a very small amount of my tank. Do a lot of damage to that Leopard. And someone just triggered the cap circle. Yep, someone just triggered the cap circle. So now you see my turret turn as I'm going, oh crap. Someone did what they're never supposed to do. They triggered the cap circle while we're all in the city. Okay? I take the Begleitpanzer because he's the easiest threat for me to take out. I know the L-40's behind that building, and I have another Begleitpanzer coming up. He's stationary, I take him out. Begleitpanzers can be dangerous. I take a shot from the T-62. We've lost our Leopard 1. I put another round into him. This just became a very target-rich environment. Now, I'm going to take fire from everywhere now. I know that. There's not much I can do about it. And I'm backing up. I need to get back to my allies here to actually cover myself. I take a shot, but I kill the AMX-10P90, who is another major threat to me. Now, I need to get back to my allies. I need someone to cover my rear end. I can't keep fighting out in the open. And I can't fight surrounded. I'm not invincible. I'm just very hard to kill. I'm going to back up, and I glance a shot, or track the shot on the Type 59. He's doing damage to me. This is bad. I take a glance. I don't know what happened here. I take him out. That, by the way, was my destroyer medal. The Sheridan just fired, so I know he's not going to fire again for a few minutes. I think that was our swing fire, who is somehow still alive in this whole mess. Now, I'm the one with the most HP left. And I'm not really caring about capping at this point. I just want to kill them. Namely, I'm trying to keep my front towards them and just keep shooting. Sheridan takes him out. Thank you, Sheridan. That Sheridan is saving my rear end because he's meaning that I don't have to worry about anything from behind me. So he's dead. Well, now we got an AMX Pack 90 coming in. Great. Yes, Sheridan, I see that you're calling for help. There's not much I can do for you, buddy. I missed the shot. Oops. I take a hit. That Pack 90 hurts. I fire, wop off most of his health. I think that was a glancing. And I blow him up too. I know there's more crap out there. And I don't want them to reset the cap. I have killed 20 enemies in this match. Okay? I have killed more enemies than the entire rest of my team combined in this match. I know there's an AMX over there. And I don't want him to get a shot off at me. I'm telling the Sheridan, just get in the circle. Get in the circle. We're going to cap this out. We're done. We've won. All right? Six, 5, 4. You can see this. We're both low on health. I'm actually pretty low on ammo by this point, too. And we win by the skin of our teeth. And no help from the rest of our team. I say very good job, guys. I really mean very good job, guy in the Sheridan, because without you, I would have gotten swarmed. His response, for you. That was a fun match. That was a lot of fun. That was a very difficult, challenging match. Guys, if you're playing Stormy Winter, don't go into the cap circle before everyone's ready. Because once you do, everyone and his grandmother who owns a tank spawns in around you. Alright? It's not fun. So we don't have time today for a live recording. We kind of went through that a bit. It took a bit longer to get through that than I thought it would. So, yeah. I'll leave you with that. That was a good example of what this T-64 can do. You are a mid to close range brawler. You have good armor. You have good sloping. You have a pretty decent gun. Use them. Use them, use them, use them, use them. Get in the enemy's face. Get up with them. Keep your front towards the enemy at all times and cover your sides with buildings or other tanks. You saw in that match, as soon as I was starting to get surrounded, I started to pull back. I reversed my way backwards towards the rest of my team to link up with them and so that they could cover my rear. This is a very powerful tank if played correctly. It's really one of my favorite. It's my favorite tank at Tier 4, really. So, this has been Mr. Kassarian. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you found it useful, helpful, or you liked it, let me know. Give me a like, comment, a subscription. I know I say this in every video, but it really helps the channel. It boosts us up in the search rankings. If you didn't like the video, tell me why. I don't want to be doing this when if there's something I'm doing you guys don't like, and I just keep blithely doing it. That's not good. If you didn't like something, let me know. Do I need to slow down? Take more time? Do you not care about the history? Do you really care about the history and want more of it? Let me know. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. And as always, good hunting.